welcome back to Isabella TV. In today's video, I will be showing you guys how to make this reversible satin bonnet. As you guys know, I used to sell them, but now I'm moving on to shoe custom. So the materials that you'll need are 1 yard of fabric in total, so that's a half yard of each color if you want it to be 2 different colors. You need a sewing machine. I know I put sewing machine on here twice, but you'll need it. It's important. You can do it hand stitch, but I just prefer sewing machine. You'll need a ruler / measuring tape. I used a measuring tape, but a ruler is better. You'll need paper for the pattern, pencils, sewing pins, thread and bobbin, 3/4 inch elastic, 1 safety pin, preferably like a larger size, and you'll need scissors. So to start off, I did have to tape some paper together because my paper was not big enough. So these are 3 large sheets of graph paper. So you need to grab your pencil and your measuring tape or ruler. And for the width part, you're just going to do 26 inches. I'm not sure if you can see it, but across is going to be 26 inches. And then the length will be about 16 to 17. Honestly, depends on how big you want your bonnet. Of course, if you want it bigger, you just increase the measurements. But with my hair, because I don't have like box braids or anything, so I'm just doing 26, 17. So after you make your marks for 17 inches and 26 inches, I kind of just roughly went around the edges trying to estimate how I wanted my semicircle to go. So later on, you'll see that I ended up darkening the circle so you guys could see it better. This is kind of me just trying to get an idea because it'll be like a rough sketch. So once you have it all cut out, this is kind of like what it should look like, you know, a nice little half circle. And now we're moving on to the fun part. When you're folding your fabric, just make sure you fold it so like you use the least amount of fabric. Like you have enough for your bonnet, but you'll still have a reasonable amount of scraps just in case you want to do something else. Now you're going to grab your pattern and you are going to bring it all the way down on the fold. You will not be cutting the fold at all, okay? You want the pattern to sit on the fold. Next, all you have to do is pin the pattern to the fabric. Just make sure you get a decent amount of pins for yourself so the fabric can stay still while you're cutting it. So while you're cutting it out, don't cut like close to the pattern. You want to at least get like, say, 1 finger away from the pattern. You'll see at the end of this clip that I actually kind of like messed up some, but that's kind of what cutting away from the pattern does for you. It gives you room for error. Okay, so you're going to take the first piece of fabric and face it shiny side up or right side up, and then you're going to take the other piece of fabric and lay it on top of it right side down. And then basically once you're pinning, you're going to at least pin about an inch. I kind of just eye it, but you're going to pin like an inch in all the way around. And make sure you pin both sides, because I know on mine it was a little bit uneven and I had to make sure I kept on checking. Oh, and that little like hand motion, I was just showing you guys that I like to pin a certain direction, because when I'm sewing it makes it a lot better when trying to pull the pins out. Okay, so when you're sewing, you kind of want to sew as close to the edge as possible with also making it neat. You also want to try to sew in a straight line, because you will kind of be able to see where the sewing went a little wonky, you know, if you don't sew in a straight line. Please do not sew close to the pins with this part. You want to sew like as far as you can to the edges. So once you get to this part, you will have to leave a small hole. You want to leave a bigger hole than I did, because this is the hole that you will be using to pull the fabric, so it's on the right side. I use this button over here to sew backwards and forwards again, so I can seal off the stitch. Okay, so you can't really see it, but right now I'm kind of just going through and pulling out all the pieces that were still kind of like stuck, if that makes sense. You'll kind of see more in the next clip what I mean, because you want your circle to be a full circle, you know? So before this clip, I did go in and iron my bonnet thing, but that is completely optional. You do not have to do that at all. But now what I'm basically doing is I'm measuring 3 inches from the edge of the bonnet, and I'm just going to go in and pin all the way around, measuring 3 inches. Alright, y'all, so my elastic, I pre-cut it. It is about 21 inches, and that's basically what I use for my head. Of course, if your head is bigger, go bigger. But basically, I'm using the elastic to measure about how much I want this to be. By the way, this is so you can make a ruffle. If you don't want a ruffle, then honestly, you just move the elastic down and you measure the elastic from the edge. But since I want a ruffle, that's why I measured the 3 inches in. And yeah, you can kind of just see what I'm doing here. I'm going in, I'm measuring a little bit, and I'm pinning. And then once you get to like the end, you want to make sure where the hole is. You put like 2 pins to make sure you know where to stop when you're sewing. And you can kind of see it. I'm going to put it up to the screen in a second. There we go. So you're going to first start off by sewing all the way around with the pins that you measured 3 inches in for. You are not sewing the second set of pins yet. You are only sewing all the way around on the set of pins that's closest to the center. To close it off, you're just going to do the same thing that I did last time, but you're going to kind of like sew into the stitch before a little bit and then go backwards and forwards. So now you're going to start at that first pin where you kind of like pinned off the hole, and you are going to work on the second stitch, and you're going to go around to the second pin because you do not want to close that hole. Okay, so now that we are approaching the last pin, you're going to seal it off the same way I said before, backwards, forwards. Make sure you still have that hole because that hole is very important. Okay, so now I'm about to show y'all something very useful. You're going to take the one safety pin and you're going to put it at the edge of the elastic, okay? So now when you're trying to put the elastic through the hole, you'll be able to use the safety pin to kind of like guide it. And you're of course going to put the elastic in between the two stitches that we did before, and the safety pin just makes it a lot easier. During this process I did actually open the safety pin like twice, but that's okay, it's easy to close it back. Really see it that well, but at this point I was kind of just fixing the elastic, making sure everything was straight, making sure it looked good, and yeah. So now you are prepping the elastic to be sewn, and you're going to overlap it, and then you're just going to go backwards and forwards on the elastic. And then after this you are going to of course cut the extra a little bit, and then you are going to take it and you're kind of just gonna like pull the bonnet so the elastic will straighten out, if that makes sense. So now you are going to seal the first stitch, which is like our elastic casing, and you are just going to close it. You do not have to go all the way around, just fill the hole and seal it with the back and forth. And then you are going to go down. I'm not sure if I'll still be talking once I get to this part, but you are just going to go down to the second hole, and you are just going to basically do the same thing, do the little back and forth. That's me trying to find the hole because that hole was so small, but the basic little back and forth, well, you don't have to go back and forth that many times, but So at this point, you are done with your little cute reversible bonnet. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, check out my Shoe Customs page and Etsy shop. And yeah, I will see you guys next time. Think it's best I put my heart on ice, 'cause I can't breathe.